David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, breaking news, the new turn in the death of actress Hayden Panettiere. ABC News Tonight obtaining the police report about the sudden death of the actress. The call to 911, authorities finding her on-again, off-again boyfriend and his brother at the apartment building when they arrived. What they discovered at the scene, and tonight her mother breaking her silence. And the father of Panettiere's 11-year-old daughter and what he's now saying tonight. Also breaking in Philadelphia, chilling video tonight showing a masked suspect chasing a female jogger down a city street. That suspect accused of chasing multiple men and women, asking, quote, if they're ready to die. A manhunt underway tonight and what police want you to know. Tonight, more than 85 million Americans dealing with dangerous, life-threatening heat. Temperatures hitting triple digits before you factor in humidity. Ginger Z is here. Tonight, the deadly explosion, multiple tanks erupting, 2 missing workers have been found dead. Tonight, authorities say these 2 young men, a Penn State grad and a former Penn State student, were allegedly leading a major cocaine ring for students, where they allegedly traveled to get the cocaine. Tonight, outside Boston, the emotional testimony at the Lindsay Clancy murder trial. Accused of killing her 3 young children, her own mother-in-law taking the stand for the defense at what she said. Tonight, here dramatic images, multiple tourists taking selfies suddenly swept away by a raging flash flood, and then the rescue effort that followed. Tonight, the U.S. Navy and new concerns about conditions aboard another warship for American sailors. A spokesperson telling ABC News the USS Benfold, a guided missile destroyer, suffering a power failure lasting 4 days, limited water, toilets, and air conditioning. Tonight, the FAA investigating 2 separate passenger jets with blown tires on landing hours apart, both at O'Hare Airport. The disturbing scene, authorities trying to get into this trailer, children crying for help, and what they found, 2 children who'd been kidnapped. Tonight here, after we showed you the humanoid robots on our trip to China, this evening that same company and what their latest robot they're calling Superman can do, jumping 6.5 feet into the air. And tonight the community losing their high school football coach and his wife, a teacher, just as the school year begins.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Tuesday night. And we begin tonight with the new turn in the death of actress Hayden Panettiere. ABC News Tonight obtaining the police report about the sudden death of the actress found in an apartment building in South Carolina. The call to 911. On the scene, authorities finding her on-again, off-again boyfriend and his brother when they arrived. And what else they discovered while there. Tonight, her mother breaking her silence and the father of Panettiere's 11-year-old daughter and what he's now saying. ABC's Stephanie Ramos leading us off tonight.
Tonight, a police report obtained by ABC News is revealing new details about the death of 36-year-old Hayden Panettiere. The actress's on and off again boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, and his brother, Zach, were inside the Greenville, South Carolina apartment when police arrived after they called 911.
Cardiac arrest. CPR is in progress.
Police reporting that the boyfriend's brother, Zach, was very emotional while EMS were working on Hayden. The longtime boyfriend, Brian, did not become emotional until EMS declared her officially deceased, showing the officer the bag of medication Hayden is currently on. Panettiere's preliminary autopsy found no signs of trauma, and police say there were no signs of foul play or suspicious circumstances. The couple had a troubling history that included domestic violence. Hickerson was charged with multiple counts of felony abuse, and he pleaded no contest, serving 45 days in jail. In her memoir, Panettiere wrote, "One night, he busts up my face so badly, I don't leave the house for weeks," later describing being locked in a cycle of abuse.
The abuse, the fact that I allowed this person not only into my life, but for how long I put up with it.
Here, reading her own journal.
I realized that I was more afraid of being alone than being abused.
In a recent interview with TMZ, Hickerson said they were still friends and acknowledged having regrets.
I went into such a dark place, man. Drugs, alcohol. Dude, good God almighty, she's 5'2" on paper, 4'11" in real life. I mean, come on.
In a new interview, Panettiere's mother says this person in her life that we have been trying to get rid of for quite some time was with her at her death, and that was Brian Hickerson. But tonight, again, police say they found nothing suspicious. Panettiere's mother calling Hayden an amazingly talented person, adding, "I think young people who grow up in the entertainment industry, it is a struggle." Meanwhile, Ukrainian boxer Vladimir Klitschko, Panettiere's former fiancé and the father of her daughter Kaya, is honoring her, writing, "She built an incredible career through immense talent while also facing the darker sides of a very demanding industry. To our daughter Kaya, I will always speak of her mother with respect and make sure she remembers the person she was." And David, we have reached out to Brian Hickerson through his attorney for comment, but we have not heard back. Tonight, there are growing tributes to Hayden Panettiere, fans remembering all of her beloved roles and the joy that she brought to so many. David.
Stephanie Ramos leading us off here tonight. Steph, thank you. Also breaking in Philadelphia tonight, a manhunt underway at this hour. A suspect seen chasing a woman. They say he has chased others too. The chilling video right here tonight showing the suspect wearing a disturbing Halloween doll-faced mask, seen here chasing a female jogger down a city street. The suspect accused of chasing multiple men and women and asking if they're, quote, ready to die. Here's Rhiannon Ally.
Tonight, a growing search for this masked attacker who Philadelphia police say is terrorizing people across the city. Chilling video released by investigators show a man wearing a disturbing doll-face mask, normally seen at Halloween, chasing a female jogger near City Hall around 5:30 a.m.
He's actively engaged in running up to people. It looks like he's attempting to scare or antagonize them.
Watch as a woman jogs before sunrise. Seconds later, the suspect appears behind her, following her step for step as they disappear out of frame. Police believe he's threatened or chased at least half a dozen people. While he was harassing that jogger, the suspect held up a cell phone and said just 5 words that terrified the woman.
He's holding a cell phone up in front of her, at which time he asks her, "Are you ready to die?"
Jamaica says when that suspect turned his attention to her, she screamed and kicked the attacker in the chest.
I blocked my face, made sure that my center line was protected. And then he also started to put his hands up, but I could tell that he had never been in a fight before.
Police say the suspect is seen using a cell phone, appearing to film the terrifying encounters. Intelligence units now scouring social media.
He's also observed, which is a tell, holding a cell phone in his left hand, and the screen appears to be lit during much of our video. So it's a clear indication that he's filming this for his own purposes.
David, police say the suspect, who they believe is between 16 and 20 years old, will face multiple charges, including harassment and assault when they find him. David?
Rhiannon Ally tonight. Rhiannon, thank you. This evening, more than 85 million Americans under heat alerts, oppressive triple-digit heat in some places, and that's even before you factor in humidity. Authorities are calling this dangerous, life-threatening heat, temperatures hitting 100 and above, and this stretches right across the country. So let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee back with us tonight. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, David. Miami hit 100 degrees today, something they've only ever done one other time since records began in 1895. So this is hotter than just summer, and that's why you see extreme heat warnings tomorrow from Wilmington to Jacksonville, back to Oklahoma City and Little Rock. Charleston has had 95 degrees or higher for the last 9 days in a row. That's something they've only done 3 other times in recorded history. We're going to stay this way through the weekend for most folks. There's a lot of heat in the southwest, too, but there are also storms firing up. Overnight tonight, Kansas City could see damaging winds by tomorrow. St. Louis. David.
Ginger, we'll see you first thing in the morning on GMA. Thank you, Ginger. Tonight, the deadly explosion at an industrial facility in Toledo, Ohio. 2 missing workers were killed. Multiple blasts tearing through that plant. Authorities say it stored cleaning chemicals. Flames more than 100 feet into the air. The building partially collapsing. Fire officials say 12 workers did make it out, most of them with minor injuries. Tonight, authorities say 2 young men, a Penn State grad and a former Penn State student, were the leaders of a cocaine ring for students. Authorities say they traveled to Philadelphia and New York City to get their cocaine haul. Here's Matt Rivers tonight.
Tonight, officials say you're looking at the faces of the 2 alleged ringleaders accused of running a major cocaine operation through multiple Penn State frat houses, allegedly making trips to New York City and Philadelphia to refill their supplies. Agostino Abatiello, a Penn State grad, turning himself in this morning. Police say he and former student Thomas Robinson brought in kilos of cocaine at a time in 2023 and 2024.
There was nothing junior or childlike about this type of conduct. This was an upper-level trafficking organization for this region in Pennsylvania.
Officials say Delta Upsilon and Sigma Chi frat houses, both off-campus, were used to package the drugs, part of what authorities called a hazing ritual.
In fact, we found a pattern of events that showed cutting and bagging cocaine was, for some pledges, an indoctrination into the Delta Upsilon and Sigma Chi fraternities.
13 current and former students charged in total, 5 with felony counts of corrupt organizations and conspiracy, the rest with misdemeanors. A 14th person, Pittsburgh-based attorney Paul Robinson, also charged with interfering with the investigation. He's the father of the other alleged leader, Thomas Robinson.
David, Penn State University saying in part that they are horrified by these accusations, adding, quote, criminal activity, including hazing, has no place at our institution. David?
Matt Rivers tonight. Thank you, Matt. Tonight outside Boston, emotional testimony at the Lindsay Clancy murder trial. The mother accused of killing her 3 young children. Her own mother-in-law taking the stand for the defense. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, Lindsay Clancy's mother-in-law testifying the young mother was begging for help in the weeks before she strangled her 3 children in the basement, then jumped from a second-floor window, leaving her paralyzed.
Lindsay was struggling. We were all very concerned.
Susan Clancy described her daughter-in-law as nurturing, loving, a wonderful mother who confided that she had insomnia, was losing her appetite, and was growing anxious and sad.
Did you find that Lindsay was interested at all times in trying to get better and see doctors?
Very much so. She was begging for help.
Prosecutors questioned whether Lindsay Clancy was really in such distress.
Did the kids come to stay at your house overnight so that she could get some sleep?
No, they didn't.
A psychologist who evaluated Lindsay Clancy after she killed the children and tried to kill herself described a phone call she made to her husband from a hospital bed.
She had said that she heard a male voice ordering her, telling her that she didn't have any choice, but she had to kill her children and then kill herself.
But prosecutors argue Clancy knew what she was doing and carefully planned the killings. If Clancy's convicted, David, she faces life in prison. If not, she would be committed to a state psychiatric hospital for treatment. David?
Aaron Katursky on this again tonight. Aaron, thank you. This evening, dramatic images showing multiple tourists taking selfies suddenly swept away by a raging flash flood in Thailand. Here's James Longman now.
Tonight, a terrifying flash flood sweeping away tourists in Thailand. People shouting, a park official blowing a whistle as usually calm water turns into raging rapids. Watch as those trying to escape lose their footing. This man tries to pull another free, but his hand slips. Another man stuck in the middle of the river as the water churns around him before he and another person are taken by the current, eventually washing up further downstream. The group had been taking selfies near the famous Mae Sao waterfall in Chiang Mai, a major attraction for international visitors. Miraculously, authorities say everyone swept away survived. Park officials say they alerted those there to the rising water, but the flood came in too quickly for some to escape.
As that incredible video shows, David, this was a horrendous ordeal. One person was taken to the hospital, but luckily park officials say there were only minor injuries. David.
Our chief international correspondent, James Longman. Thanks, James. Tonight, there are new concerns about conditions aboard another U.S. Navy warship. Jon Karl and what he's learned now.
Tonight, growing questions about whether the U.S. Navy is now stretched too thin after new reports of grim living conditions aboard a second massive ship. Some 300 sailors on the destroyer, the USS Benfold, deployed in the South China Sea, went 4 days with limited drinking water and no working toilets or air conditioning after the ship suffered a complete loss of power. After 4 days adrift, the Benfold was towed to the Philippines. A Navy spokesman cites problems with its generators, adding there were no injuries to the crew, who demonstrated resilience, grit, professionalism, and unwavering steadiness. The Benfold was part of the carrier strike group heading to the Middle East to relieve the USS Lincoln, whose crew has been at sea for more than 260 days as part of the war on Iran. Amid deteriorating conditions on the Lincoln, some sailors' families told the Military Times that at least 2 sailors tried to jump overboard. A U.S. official told ABC News that a sailor did go into the water and was rescued. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who in a highly unusual move for a defense secretary, was campaigning for Republicans in Iowa this week, has denied there's a problem.
We make sure that every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we can provide them at every single moment.
And David, the power failure aboard the USS Benfold happened more than 3 weeks ago. It's unclear why the Pentagon waited so long to disclose it.
Jon Karl live at the White House for us. John, thanks. Tonight, the FAA investigating 2 separate passenger jets suffering blown tires, landing just hours apart at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. The planes coming down on separate runways. An American Airlines flight arriving from New York blew out 2 tires yesterday. Then 2 hours later, a United flight out of Nebraska losing its main left tire on touchdown. No one hurt in either landing. When we come back here tonight, the community losing their high school football coach and his wife, a teacher, just as the school year begins. The horrible accident and the images coming in tonight. Police trying to get into this trailer right here. Children crying for help. Authorities say they've been kidnapped. We'll be right back. Tonight here, the dramatic moment. Police in Atlanta find 2 missing girls. Officers could hear their cries in a trailer. Using a cinder block and bolt cutters to break in. 2 young sisters were inside, 4 years old and a baby just 11 months old. A woman was arrested at the scene, the girl's mother telling police she had just hired the woman as a babysitter, claiming she kidnapped the children. Tonight outside Houston, a community mourning a high school football coach and his wife, a teacher, both killed in a crash. Authorities say Jeremy and Brandy Jenkins were killed when their car approached a curve and overturned on a highway. Brandy, a teacher in the East Bernard School District, Jeremy, the high school's head football coach. Their deaths just days into this new school year and just before the start of football season. We're thinking about that community tonight. And when we come back right here tonight, tributes this evening for the co-founder of ESPN, also a passing note, a member of ZZ Top. And we took you to China. You'll remember tonight that humanoid robot company is back and what it can do now, jumping 6.5 feet into the air, beating the human record, and you'll see it in a moment. To the index of other news tonight, a passing to note, Frank Beard, the drummer of ZZ Top, has died. Takes you right back. Beard brought a signature backbeat to the band's blues rock sound for more than 5 decades. ZZ Top sharing on social media. Beard was in hospice care when he died Monday at his ranch in Texas. No official cause of death tonight. Frank Beard was 77. Tonight here we also remember the co-founder of ESPN, Bill Rasmussen. Rasmussen, alongside his son, fueled the launch of ESPN back in 1979. He heralded the idea of an around-the-clock cable sports network. Rasmussen died today at his home in Florida from the effects of Parkinson's. Bill Rasmussen was 93, and what an impact he had. When we come back here tonight, we took you to China. You'll remember this. Well, tonight that company is back with their humanoid robot, now able to jump 6.5 feet into the air, breaking the human record. And you have to see it.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Aleve.
Finally tonight here, jumping to new heights, the humanoid robot we showed you when we were in China. Well, tonight here, the new feat. Look what it's up to now. We took you to China in May, where the global race to lead on artificial intelligence and robotics technology is on. The Chinese humanoid robot company Unitree at the AI Developer Conference there. Unitree has put their robots through extreme tests, walking through deep snow in northwestern China, freezing Arctic-level temperatures 53 degrees below zero. That same robot on rollerblades and on ice skates, doing flips. And look at this, 50 of those robots in unison.
So this is the robot that you've seen rollerblading, ice skating, testing temperatures, Arctic-level temperatures.
You'll remember we went for a walk with the robot. It then performed martial arts and dance moves, too. Well, tonight, that same company, Unitree, unveiling their latest robot they call Superman. They say it can jump more than 6.5 feet in the air. And that's not all. Watch it run. A top speed of 28.3 miles per hour, faster than Olympic champion Usain Bolt. And you'll remember what they showed us. Unitree also programming robots to make beds, to help clean the house, to do dishes. The people at that conference in China, mesmerized. Tonight here, that humanoid robot called Superman and his 6.5 foot jump into the air. Oh, it is something. The race sure is on. I'm David Muir. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. No robot, just me. At least not yet. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Good night.
David Muir, the most trusted, most watched newscast in America. And now, World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 4th year in a row.